here's where the problem comes in. All right, so here's the problem. What you pay for the card based on your own perceived value doesn't mean that everyone else in the market shares your perceived value. So let's get into the hot take. And I want to talk about sales psychology with you because this plays a big role in not only card prices, but card value. So this is one way that I determine not just the price of a card, but also what the card is valued. So when someone asks me, what do I think these cards are worth? Or, hey, I have a collection. What do you think this collection is worth? What I'm doing is I'm looking at recent sale history plus perceived value of cards. This is how I determine perceived value. And this is the most important thing that you take away from this video is what is the perceived value. So as I've been growing this channel, one of the things that I can do as I get more subscribers is I can actually do more data collection. It's harder to do with a smaller channel, so if you want to help, please share this channel out. Tell everybody to subscribe because the more people that go to the community poll and answer the questions on those polls, the better the data that I can have and the more information I can report back to you. This is the poll that I put out. What would you pay for this Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card? Now this is a PSA 10. And the reason that I ask this question is because I'm collecting data. Now this is the important piece. What data am I collecting? Now I put down 4 different price points. And what you can see from the data is that a certain amount of people said, okay, I would pay the highest premium for this card, but not a lot, not the majority of people. And then I also had the other price points, which are legitimate price points for this card. That the majority of people would actually pay between $1,000 to $1,500 for this card, which means that this card is worth around $1,500 to $2,000. That's what it's worth. And the reason why that's what it's worth is because no one is going to pay more than the card is worth. For the people that put down $1,000, their perceived value of this card is closer to $1,500 because they don't think that it's worth $2,000. Therefore, they wouldn't pay $1,500. Do you understand what that means? It means that the perceived value has to be closer to where the actual sale price is. It has to be closer. Is the card worth more than what you paid? Yes, that's the point. The perceived value of worth is more than you paid. Otherwise, why would you pay that price? And so that's the piece that you have to understand. Now, here's where the problem comes in. All right, so here's the problem. What you pay for the card based on your own perceived value doesn't mean that everyone else in the market shares your perceived value. You have to kind of guess, well, I'm willing to pay X for this card, and I'm hoping that other people agree with my perceived value, which is why you want to do kind of data testing like this to find out where is the market? Where do people think the perceived value is? Now, as I'm growing this channel, and if you guys want to help, this is what I can do with a bigger size channel. Like this is the kind of thing that we can do. So my point being is that I can put out these polls, I can take track of the data, and then tell you what the perceived value of card prices are. Not what you think they are, but what the market actually says they are. So for the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, PSA 10, the perceived value is closer to $1,500. Well, Actually, it's probably closer to $1,700. So $1,700 is probably where most people think this card is worth, because they're willing to pay between $1,000 and $1,500 for this card. That means the card value is slightly above that. That means that it's come down from around $2,500 where it used to sell for, which means that the perceived value used to be around $3,000. So that perceived value is now 50% less than what it used to be. So you might have a certain amount of cards that may have had high price points, but the perceived value of the cards isn't what you think it is. And that's the issue. So if you pay $100 for a card, you believe the perceived value is around $120 to $150. That's what you believe the perceived value is. If you pay $200 for a card, you believe the perceived value is around $250 to $300. Otherwise, why would you pay $200 for the card? Now, as a collector, I'm doing perceived value, but with, a little bit more leeway. Like, I'm willing to pay X amount because I want the card. And I don't really care so much about the perceived value. I just want to know, well, yes, this is what it's worth. And so that's where I'm willing to pay up to. And so I have my own criteria for determining how much I'm going to spend on a card. And that's what you have to do as a collector, is decide, okay, I have an X amount of budget. And again, for any small time people, like if you don't have, an endless bank account like Jeff Wilson, then I highly recommend you spend $500 a year on sports cards. That's it. $500 is your budget on sports cards. That's new cash. If you want to sell some of your stuff to add to that pot, then absolutely, I think that's a smart idea. You should be turning over some of your stuff in order to get stuff that you want. That's how you make this self-sustaining, and that's also how you make it fun year after year after year, because you have to sell some of the stuff. If you get to a point where you're like, I can't sell any of this stuff, it's just got too much sentimental value, now you have a PC. Like, when you get to a place where every single card means something to you, you now have a real PC. Like, you have done what collectors have been doing for centuries, which is building something that matters to them. Most of you do not have that. Most of you do not have personal collections that you actually value. It's just sort of, it's a show-off thing. Look at all the cards that I have. And because of the YouTube influencers with, their multi-million dollar, basically wastes of time. And again, they have spent way more money than they ever should have on cards. They have wasted money on cards. So like Jeff Wilson's $3 million PC is not worth $3 million. He's spent $3 million, but it's only worth maybe like $500,000. And that's what you guys need to understand. So he's spent $3 million and it's only worth $500,000. So if he were to sell it all, he could only get $500,000. So he's lost $2.5 million of cash. And I don't know about you, but that's not a very good investor. And so that's my point, is you have to know the perceived value of cards. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I'm here every Friday. It's EDI Sports Show. Have a great weekend.
There's only one show. There's only one show I wanna watch. EDI Sports Show every Friday. From interviews and card news to the sports behind the scenes, only one show covers the deeds. EDI Sports Show.